have an impact on surgery.
Coming up on your Ignite News today, City Hall works to revitalize impoverished neighborhoods.
We're working in 11 neighborhoods right now to develop resident-led neighborhood action plans.
Mohawk students learn about volunteer opportunities.
It's good to have that helping hand.
And the Bulldogs promise to get physical.
You know, if we're going to be physical, it's going to be good.
All this and more on your Ignite News today.
Good morning and welcome to your Ignite News for Thursday, October 3rd. I'm Greg Rosser.
And I'm Paula Tobias. Here's what's making news.
The Special Investigations Unit has found that there are no reasonable grounds to lay criminal charges against the two Hamilton police officers involved in the shooting death of Steve Messick. Messick, 45, was shot 6 times on Upper Wentworth earlier this year. Investigators found that officers were justified in shooting Messick because he was advancing towards them with a shovel he had refused to put down. Now, the SIU did not reveal the identity of either officer involved. However, the Hamilton Spectator says one of the officers was Constable Kevin Farrell. Messick is survived by his wife and newborn son, who was released from hospital the day of Messick's death.
Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health is warning residents to stop drinking bottled water from Blue Glass Water Co. Limited. Bacteria has been found in many samples from the company. It was ordered to stop processing and distributing water on July 25th. There have been no illnesses yet from the bottled water. Customers are to be asked to check labels that say bottled at source by Blue Glass Water Company Limited or bottled at source by Caledon Water Corporation.
Now, a man has been charged after Toronto police received bomb threats on a local business and a police station. Police say on September 20th, a man called the Brampton business and then the police station saying that bombs had been placed throughout each location. Isidore Vari of Brampton is charged with multiple counts of uttering threats, public mischief, and conveying a false message.
11 neighborhoods in Hamilton have selected for urban renewal projects. Ignite News reporter Rachel Williams was at the City Hall to find out more about the project.
City councilors sat in chambers on October 2nd listening to the first annual report of Hamilton's Neighborhood Action Strategy. Led by Paul Johnson, director of NAS, the presentation shed light on an initiative that aims to improve impoverished areas in the city.
We're working in 11 neighborhoods right now to develop resident-led neighborhood action plans. And then the other side of the work is to work with all of our staff here at the City of Hamilton to help communities implement those actions.
After a series of surveys and consultations, the 11 areas in need of urban renewal include Stinson, Jamesville, Keith, Gibson Lansdale, South Sherman, Beasley, Crown Point, McQuestion, Riverdale, Davis Creek, and Rolston. According to Johnson, the NAS has worked tirelessly to survey the demographics of these areas and are now in the process of making the recommended changes.
There's about 315 distinct actions, and now we're in the process of implementing them. Some are being implemented by residents on their own, and then others are being implemented with the help of the city, and whether it's through our departments or whether it's through our funding, we're helping to make sure that all our neighborhoods are great places to live, work, play, and learn.
The 315 potential actions presented by the NAS include community cleanups, planting gardens, home renovations, summer camps, and redesigning parks. Presenting with the NAS was an expert in urban renewal from Seattle, Jim Diers.
It's wonderful to be in Hamilton, get inspired by what's happening here, and I think in many ways Hamilton's become the leader in Canada for how to get government re-engaged with their communities and to really support community initiatives.
City councilors all expressed high hopes for the initiative, but concerns were raised about funding. Ward 8 Councillor Terry Whitehead argued that taxpayers should not be charged if they're not being extended the same services as the other 11 neighborhoods. Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Rachel Williams.
And 2 researchers at McMaster University have developed a tuberculosis vaccine. Initial tests have proven safe and effective. Xiao Jing and Fiona Small are responsible for the development of the vaccine that could potentially combat the second deadliest infectious disease worldwide. Doctors and researchers around the world have been trying for a decade to find a vaccine for TB. The Hamilton researchers hope to develop a device to administer the vaccine through inhalation by their next testing phase.
RBC Canada's largest bank, says it's committing itself to make $100 million in donations for over 5 years to improve the well-being of children and youth. The Believe in Kids pledge will consolidate the bank's current support for children's causes and provide funding for new programs. RBC President and Chief Executive Gordon Nixon says the bank's goal is to help 1 million kids by 2018.
Ottawa bus driver Dave Woodard was laid to rest on Wednesday. Woodard was one of the 6 killed in a collision when his double-decker bus slammed into a Via Rail train in Ottawa. The Metropolitan Bible Church was filled with people paying their respects, including hundreds of OC Transpo bus drivers.
Student Engagement organized a volunteer fair, and Ignite News reporter Marcy Colbert has the story.
Students and local volunteer organizations gathered in the David Braley Athletics Center on Wednesday for the 4th annual volunteer fair. Deborah Pearson is the special events coordinator for Student Engagement, and she also is the event organizer.
We want to offer our students volunteer opportunities. Some of the programs require it. Other programs, it's just good for them to make the connections in the community. And we love that our students are not only fabulous students, but active community members.
Penny Weir from the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation came to the fair to look for volunteers for their annual Gutsy Walk.
It's a walkathon, so our motto is Get Gutsy, and we try and keep a really positive attitude.
Another organization in attendance was the Canadian Blood Services.
Here at the Canadian Blood Services booth, students can discover what blood type they are.
Gregory Sequin is one of the students at Mohawk who's interested in volunteering.
If you're able to volunteer, people need help, and not everybody has money, so it's good to have that helping hand.
34 agencies attended the fair, and the number keeps growing each and every year. For Ignite News, I'm Marcy Colbert.
The death toll from swarms of aggressive hornets in China continues to climb. Authorities now say that 42 people were killed and nearly 1,700 were injured after being stung by the Asian killer hornet. Now, government officials say that the attacks happened in 3 cities in the Shaanxi province since July, with 37 patients remaining in critical condition in hospital. The Asian killer hornets are the world's largest hornets and have a deadly sting. A majority of the victims stung died from either allergic reactions or organ failure.
Ontario's Auditor General is set to release a second report next week on the Liberal government's controversial closing of 2 glass plants. The closure of the plants in Oakville and Mississauga cost taxpayers more than $500 million. Critics say the Liberals are only closing the plants in a bid to appease local voters who were opposed to the plant prior to the 2011 provincial election.
Mohawk College is getting back to its roots with the creation of a new community garden on campus. Ignite News reporter Brittany Medeiros has the story.
Tomatoes, grapes, and pumpkins are just some of the fresh produce Mohawk College is offering to students. This past June, the shovels went into the ground when Mohawk's Sustainability Office launched an on-campus garden project. Mohawk's Sustainability Manager, Alan Griffith, explains the process of how this garden came to life.
The community garden comes out of our environmental management plan, our ECOS committee, which is a student committee that supports environmental issues on campus, and some faculty in the School of Human Services really started putting their ideas behind what that community garden would look like. And then the sustainability office, in line with those 2 groups, started laying the groundwork for what a community garden was.
Griffith's main goal is to build on Hamilton's growing sustainable food system.
And it's our main mission to support sustainable food systems and this growing trend within the city of Hamilton.
The Mohawk Community Garden provides a variety of produce for the school to use, like these tomatoes here.
Another great aspect of this garden is that the produce grown is used in some of the eating places in the school, like Urban Fork and the Lunchbox. Mohawk's kitchen manager, Greg McLaughlin, seems excited about the amount of fresh ingredients used in their food.
At the start of the year, we obviously were able to harvest quite a bit that we grew over the summer. There were a large number of vegetables and some fruits. We actually tried growing cantaloupe melon this summer as well, which was really cool. We also grew a lot of herbs and quite a few different types of hot peppers, so scotch bonnets, jalapenos, banana peppers. We grew the whole gamut in our garden. We made a paste out of all of those hot peppers, and that's what we're using all year to make our suicide sauce for our chicken wings.
McLaughlin hopes to redefine the way people think about their food.
And it's also good just to refine the way that we grow food, to better understand the way ingredients work, and then also to try and build the farm to fork atmosphere of freshness that we try and strive for in all of our food operations at the MSA.
Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Brittany Medeiros.
One of the world's largest nuclear reactors was forced to shut down after tons of jellyfish clogged pipes. The nuclear plant in southeastern Sweden had to shut down after half of the jellyfish blocked the reactor's cold water pipes that are essential for the plant's turbines. The plant's reactors are boiling water types, which is the same technology at Japan's Fukushima plant. Concerns were raised that the blockage could cause a meltdown.
Now 92 people are dead and many more are missing after a boat packed with 500 African migrants sank off the southern coast of Italy. 150 survivors have been pulled from the water so far from the crammed 20-meter boat, which caught on fire a kilometer off the island of Lampedusa. The United Nations commended the swift action by the Italian Coast Guard. Lampedusa is a popular landing point for migrants as it is a short 113 kilometers from Tunisia.
Now, let's take a look at what's coming up in sports, weather, and entertainment.
It's going to be a cloudy day before that rain reaches Hamilton. I've got your full forecast coming up in weather.
Following 2 road wins, the Leafs look to the ACC on Saturday night for their home opener. Patrick Waugh shows that he still has the NHL fire. All this and more coming up in your Ignite News Sports.
Best-selling author Tom Clancy dies at 66, and entertainment reporter Chris Ruckett has a review on Rush. All this and more coming up on entertainment.
And here's a recap of today's top stories. 2 Hamilton police officers will not be charged for the shooting death of Hamilton's Steve Messick. Hamilton residents are warned to check water bottle labels due to bacteria found in blue glass products. And McMaster University breaks ground on a potentially successful tuberculosis vaccine.
Thanks, Paula. Windsor is experiencing partial clouds today with a high of 17 degrees. London is also partially cloudy with a high of 10. And Niagara Falls is mainly sunny with a few clouds at a high of 9 degrees. While Toronto is also enjoying that sun with a few clouds as they sit at 12. Finally, over here in Hamilton, it's partially cloudy this afternoon with a high of 11. Moving ahead to the next 24 hours in Hamilton, this evening you can see it'll be fairly cloudy with some small breaks with a high of 15 degrees. Then overnight, that'll turn into some showers as the temperature remains at 15 degrees, while tomorrow morning those showers should calm down and turn to light rain while we sit at 16 degrees. Looking ahead into the 5-day forecast, Friday will be a wet one with light rain and a high of 22 with a low of 15. Saturday, that light rain will turn into thunderstorms with a high of 23 and a low of 17. Sunday, those thunderstorms will continue with a high of 22 and a low of 14. Monday, some salvation comes with a high of 16 and low of -1 with partial clouds. And Tuesday, we'll finally have that sunny day with a high of 17 and a low of 8. That's all with your weather, so let's pass it to Chelsea for your entertainment update.
Mayor Rob Ford is making unlikely new allies today during his trip to Austin. Ford tweeted Wednesday, "Preparing for my trip to Austin, Texas, making Toronto the music city." As Ford is not typically known to embrace the indie music scene, some speculate that this could be a way to broaden his base before next year's election. Best-selling author Tom Clancy has died at the age of 66 Tuesday night. A cause of death has not been released. Clancy was famous for a series of military thrillers, including The Hunt for Red October and The Sum of All Fears. Clancy once said his dream was to publish a book, hopefully a good one. Most say he did this several times over. A month before Chris Hemsworth returns to Thor, he's racing into a theater near you in Rush. Ignite Entertainment reporter Chris Luckett has a review.
Sports movies have a tricky line to walk. They have to satisfy sports fans who will pick up on any errors while remaining simple enough to entertain casual moviegoers who aren't interested in sports. As movies like Raging Bull, Pride of the Yankees, and Rudy have proven, the trick is to make the movie more about the characters than the game itself. Rush knows this very well. Now, athletes of a single-player sport generally are at their best in the midst of a rivalry. Think of Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, or Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras. Well, Formula One racers James Hunt and Niki Lauda had one of the most bitter and fascinating rivalries in racing. James Hunt, played by Chris Hemsworth, is a cocksure playboy who drives by the seat of his pants and survives through instinct and adrenaline. Niki Lauda, played by Daniel Bruhl, is meticulous, ill-tempered, and spends his time not racing, preparing for the next race. As the two of them compete for the F1 World Driver Championship, they become locked in a bitter battle that's both tragic and inspirational. Hemsworth does a great job of hinting at the sadness and loneliness just below the surface of his character. The real star of Rush, though, is Daniel Bruhl, who steals every minute of the movie he's in. His amazing portrayal of the impossibly difficult but irritatingly superior Lauda is a revelation. It's on the same level as Jesse Eisenberg in The Social Network or Hugh Laurie on House. His performance in this is pretty much guaranteed an Oscar nomination. The racing scenes in Rush are thrilling in a way not enough movies have been this year, thanks to Ron Howard's tight directing. Combined with the outstanding acting and a smart screenplay, it's a nearly perfect package. Best of all, it works just as well, whether you're a racing expert or you don't know your F1 from your NASCAR. It's the rare sports movie that everyone can appreciate. Rush gets 4.5 stars out of 5. For Ignite Entertainment, I'm
Lovers
Chris Luckett.
of fashion and music alike are flocking to Toronto to get a dose of Bowie. The David Bowie Is exhibit is at the Art Gallery of Ontario for its first North American stop. Ignite Entertainment reporter Noah Salo has the scoop.
Thanks, Chelsea. The David Bowie Is exhibit is a unique experience that should appeal to fashionistas, modern art enthusiasts, as well as rock music fans.
This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade.
David Bowie is primarily known for his music, but a new 2-month exhibit at the AGO shows how important visuals are to Bowie as an artist.
David Bowie's significant in rock and roll history, probably because of the spectacle that he added. He really added the theatrical to rock and roll. He also added the persona to rock and roll. He was willing to play with the fact that rock and roll is spectacle, and anybody who participates in rock and roll is a persona. He had no problem changing his image from one album to another.
The exhibit showcases Bowie's music, costumes and artwork, and a multimedia display. Fans reacted positively.
It showed the really scope of work, the fashion, the art, the music, and the film.
It was an opportunity for me to relive my past.
It was wonderful to see all of the costumes as they actually were.
David Bowie's visual aesthetics are just as important to his persona as his music, and you can experience both at the AGO's David Bowie Is exhibit. Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Noah Salo.
Now let's take a look at this week's Tech Talk.
Rockstar North, the company behind many hugely successful games such as Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, and LA Noire, have recently released their much-anticipated sequel, Grand Theft Auto 5. The game takes place in Los Santos, Rockstar's take on LA. It also includes a fully explorable ocean floor. The main single-player story in this game sees you take control of 3 different characters. Michael, a retired bank robber in witness protection. Trevor, trailer trash with a bad and spontaneous attitude. And then Franklin, a young gun taking his career path to a new level, but all of them on the quest for the almighty dollar. If you played Grand Theft Auto before, you know this is by any means necessary. In this iteration of Grand Theft Auto, you have a larger selection of vehicles at your fingertips than ever before, while also overhauling the weapons wheel for ease of use. Grand Theft Auto now has a well-designed multiplayer which allows for you and your friends to cause mayhem amongst its virtual city. It's easy to see that with all this game has to offer, sales in the first 3 days were over $1 billion. It looks like Rockstar North has mastered the quest for the almighty dollar. I'm Sasha Dijak with Ignite News.
Here's what's happening on campus and around Hamilton.
I'm Adam Steinberg. Here's what's happening on campus this week. Mohawk is putting its emergency planning to the test. There will be lockdown drills all week. Participation in the drills is mandatory for all students, faculty, staff, and visitors. Volunteer observers will be walking through the campuses during the drills to monitor response times. So here's what you need to do during the drill. Immediately stop whatever you are doing and get to a place of safety either within the college or outside the campus. If you are in a classroom, lab, or office, turn off all lights, close the doors, and remain silent. If you are in an open area like the gym, the library, or cafeteria, please find a place of safety elsewhere within the campus or leave the building. If you are outside the campus, move away from the exits and do not congregate in large groups. This drill should take about 20 minutes each. And this Friday, Mohawk is hosting an alumni panel in the McIntyre Performing Arts Center from 10 to noon. Successful alumni from journalism, graphic design, radio broadcasting, television broadcasting, and photography will talk about what it takes to build a great career. That's all for your community calendar. Now back to the desk.
That's a wrap for Entertainment Mohawk. Now let's pass it over to Ken for your sports update.
Thanks, Chelsea. The Toronto Maple Leafs remain undefeated early in the new NHL season after beating the Philadelphia Flyers 3-1 in the home opener. Dave Bolin netted his first 2 goals as a member of the Leafs, including the eventual game winner. Phil Kessel also scored for the Buds, and Joffrey Lupul added 2 assists. Goaltender Jonathan Bernier looked outstanding in his first start as he turned away 31 shots, including a penalty shot from Flyers winger Wayne Simmons. Patrick Waugh made his coaching debut for the Colorado Avalanche in the team's home opener against the Anaheim Ducks. The Avs took it 6-1, but the bigger story was Waugh's overly heated reaction to a non-call on Colorado's top draft pick, Nathan MacKinnon. Waugh started pushing over a glass partition and screaming in the face of Ducks coach Bruce Boudreau. Waugh's antics overshadowed a great performance by MacKinnon, who set up Jamie McKinn for 2 of his first NHL game. The Hamilton Bulldogs are gearing up for the start of the 2013-2014 AHL season. Ignite Sports reporter Dimitri Pertikaris has this preview.
The Hamilton Bulldogs training camp is underway, and with the regular season just around the corner, players are looking to make lasting impressions on the Bulldogs coaching staff. There has been no shortage of physical play at training camp, and that's something that Bulldogs defenseman Morgan Ellis encourages.
You got to be a physical team. That's that's the NHL and AHL now, so it makes it a lot tougher to play against. And if we're going to be physical, it's going to be good.
After scoring the fewest amount of goals in the American Hockey League last season and finishing dead last in the overall league standings, players now have an added year of adversity and experience to look back on. Goaltender Dustin Tokarski is one of those returning players to the Bulldogs this season. Tokarski discussed what he expects from himself as the starting netminder.
You got to make a statement this year, in the room, on the ice, and show them ready to potentially take the next step. So I'm here, for the guys to be a leader, go out there and try and steal some games for the guys, and have them believe in me, and try and get the team around me better, distill some confidence in the guys and be a leader.
The Hamilton Bulldogs coaching staff, led by head coach Sylvain Lefebvre, now have the difficult task of deciding who stays with the Bulldogs this season and who goes. For Ignite News, I'm Dimitri Pertikaris.
That's it for sports. Let's pass it back to Greg and Paula.
In weirder news, a 2-year-old boy in China underwent surgery recently. Probably the most unusual surgery a young man could ever imagine. It turns out that Yao Feng had a conjoined twin that was developing inside his stomach. His parents discovered the shocking fact when the boy's stomach became bloated and he had difficulty breathing. Now, the fetus was surgically removed as it could have killed Feng if it continued to grow. This is not the first time a parasitic twin has resulted in a child giving birth. A 3-year-old was found in the same condition in Peru last year.
As we told you earlier, author Tom Clancy has died. He sold millions of novels around the world. As we asked you if you had a favorite author.
The Harry Potter series, it's just imaginative, it uses a lot of creativity, and the storyline is just amazing.
Favorite book and why would be Dr. Seuss' Green Eggs and Ham, because my parents used to read this to me as a kid.
I love Far From the Madding Crowd because it's historical fiction and it's something I've always been into.
I just read the book of his book, and his name is Baba Yahya Khan. He's basically a philosopher.
I'd have to say my favorite book is Cat in the Hat because it was a big book growing up and I like the rhymes.
Well, I don't really read books, but lately I've been reading, The Painter's Secret Geometry. It's just because it applies the golden ratio in all paintings, and I'm an architecture and I want to include that in my design. So.
One book that I read that I really enjoyed was The Bad Place by Dean Koontz, and I really enjoyed that book because it was really strange.
My book would be Twilight because of all the storylines in it, and how it's serious. It's not just one book.
Weekly Pay It Forward segment featuring someone who has done something nice for someone else.
Hi, I'm Sam Pemberton, and today we're going to find out just how much Mohawk students really know about what it means to pay it forward. What do you think it means to pay it forward?
It's kind of like karma's coming back for me. Like if you do something good for someone, someone's going to do something good for you. That's kind of all I think of it.
I think it means to do something nice for someone else and not respect anything back.
I think it means doing a kind act for somebody just because you feel like it.
Just to help out with your community or even people here at the school. Not everybody has it as good as everybody else, so it's always nice to give back.
That's all your news for Thursday, October 3rd. I'm Greg Rosser.
And I'm Paula Tobias. For more news coverage, check out our website at ignitenews.ca. Thanks for watching, Mohawk.